Hi and welcome to another video update from the Fire Brigade Union, this time in the vital issue of pay, conditions and industrial relations within the Fire and Rescue Service. We're joined by FBU General Secretary Matt Rack. Now Matt, this is clearly a very hot topic at the moment. We've seen the disgraceful treatment of nurses. It comes in the back of a pay freeze announced by the Chancellor last November. And of course we have the HMI report into the Fire and Rescue Service advocating some sort of pay review body. I mean, I suppose the first question for you as General Secretary is what does this say about pay policy and indeed the wider industrial relations environment for the Fire and Rescue Service?
Well, I think it shows what the people in power really think of public service workers, key workers, the people who've been clapped, including by the Prime Minister on Thursday evenings during the pandemic. People in the health service, but also firefighters who kept the fire service going, who also did remarkable work around COVID. They came out, they clapped for us, but actually the real view is expressed in what they deliver afterwards. And as you say, the Chancellor announced in November he wanted what he called a pay pause. We now see that they have said to nurses and that they're recommending a 1% pay rise, while the rest of the public sector is expected to take a 0% pay rise. It's absolutely staggering on the back of more than a decade of pay restraint, which actually means falling real wages for firefighters and everyone else across the public sector. It's an utter disgrace.
Now, Matt, the pay of firefighters and fire control staff is meant to be decided through the National Joint Council, a negotiating body between the union and employers. But I think what we're starting to see now is the reality behind this, which is a government that is really, in real terms, starving public service bodies of pay and putting in place a public service pay cap in effect. I mean, is that what's affecting firefighters at the moment, and is it for the future?
Absolutely, that's been the heart of the problem. Obviously, the fire service is funded partly by local taxation, partly by national funding from central government, slightly different in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, but that's the English model. But the same story is across the UK, that central government in Westminster is squeezing public services and squeezing funding to the fire and rescue service. And obviously part of that funding is about money for pay. So they've had an approach to public sector workers' pay for a decade, which says effectively the crisis, if people remember the crisis, the banking crisis and so on that emerged from 2008 onwards, that the chaos that created for the economy, they expect working people and particularly public sector workers to pay the price for that. And that's the way they've been attacking us for a decade, on our pensions, our jobs, and of course on our pay. That's what's going on behind the scenes. That's what's going on up front from this government.
Okay, man, now just finally, we've got another thing that's in the mix for the Fire and Rescue Service. That's an HMI report, an utterly extraordinary report, which is a real attack, I think, as you've described it, on the fire service. But it talks about a pay review body. So what does this report, what does this whole mix mean for firefighters and fire control staff looking for a pay rise within 2021?
Well, we've got, we bargain with our employers, collective bargaining it's called. We represent the workforce. On the other side of the table are the employers. And there's a lot of downsides to it because, as you say, it's very constrained by central government funding. But at least it means we can discuss, argue, make the case. And all our national conditions are based on that system. We've got now the HMI in England, HMICFRS, who have been very politicised. They've clearly, that you would expect them to come in and look at how effective fire and rescue services are. Instead, what they are focusing on in two reports now is the role of the Fire Brigade Union, the role of industrial relations, a very politicised role. I think it's pretty staggering that they've got the nerve to do this, but they have, and they clearly have the backing of government to do so. And I think members need to be clear, they are coming after our terms and conditions. They're coming after our right to bargain on our own behalf because they want, it's not because they want to do us any favours. I think it's because they want to further undermine the pay and conditions of firefighters in the UK. That's the agenda that we're facing. We'll do a lot more of this. This campaign is only just starting, Tam. It's part and parcel of can and how we get a pay rise, but it's about much more than that as well.
Okay, Matt, we've talked about a campaign. So what can members expect in the coming weeks and months from the union?
Well, I think first of all, we need to assess in detail what the government is planning. We hear that there is going to be a white paper. That's the start of legislation. The press reports say that that white paper is about tackling the problem of the Fire Brigade Union, or whatever they see it as. That's clearly a very major threat to this union and our ability to represent our members. We won't take that lying down. We'll prepare a campaign. I'd ask people to follow closely the website, the reports, the circulars, the videos that we do, and we'll be asking people to support us and build that campaign to say to politicians, don't come after our pay terms and conditions. We've done our part in the pandemic. Now, actually, we deserve to be treated with respect, including the pay that we deserve. That's what we'll be campaigning on over the coming weeks and months, Tam.
Matt, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Tam. Thanks, everyone.